Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Exploring with Expedishun. Now, for this first part, what I want to do is this isn't going to be a live gameplay, okay? This is going to be just a voiceover, and I've got two videos in the background that I want to show you. Now, the reason why I want to do this one is because for this, I originally learnt a lot about wormholes within these two videos, and I learned three very main things with this. So I really hope that these three things that I learnt in this video can help you, because these are, I would say, you know, sometimes it's easy to overlook stuff, especially whenever it comes to wormholes. If you're mainly in high sec where there's a lot of safety, there's a lot of I don't need to worry much, and then you go into a wormhole where you just have to act like there's danger everywhere, okay? Because the thing about a wormhole is that you could be sitting in a wormhole, there's no one on local, but for all you know, there could be 100 people near you, okay? Obviously 100 people in one wormhole, that's going to be rare, very rare. More than likely no one has ever came across that before, ever, unless you're having like a wormhole fleet versus another wormhole fleet and you're just fighting in a wormhole for whatever reason. But it is very rare, but it's not impossible. So the one thing that I always done whenever I was getting into wormholes was I always just assume that there's 5 people around me at any given time. There's 5 people watching me, whether that's on D-scan or following me cloaked up. That is the way I look at it. That there's 5 people always looking at me, right? And it's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling. But you know, if you didn't watch my solo nomad setup, you would. I talked about it in our what the reason why I was in wormholes is I would go into wormholes, scan them down, find the gas site, go do the gas site. All right, that's what I done. That was my play style. I would go into the gas site, and then once a 20-minute timer hit, jumped back out, went and got my gunship, come back in, cleared out the rats, went back, got my gas ship again, back in, finished off that, and just done that. I didn't do it all the time, but I done it, probably 2 or 3 times a week, and it could lead to serious risk, which was great. So here we are. This first video is, and funny enough, it's the title of the video, I get trapped in a wormhole. Okay, I get trapped in a wormhole. So how does this happen? Well, one of two ways. So whenever you go into a wormhole, as soon as you enter that wormhole, the entrance that you've come in still needs to be scanned down. I never scan it down, never, because it's the one that I come in. What I do is I just save the location, so then I can just warp to it, so I don't need to scan it down. So that's one thing that I would never need to scan down, is that exit, okay? Because you would save it and you don't need to scan. It's one less item that you have to scan down. Plus, whenever you're on the map, if you're like me, what I would do is I would go into the wormhole, I would launch my probes, I would go about 100 kilometers away, I would cloak up, so it would always say on the solar system map, or the map where you're doing all your scanning, it would always say you're here. It will show you where you are, and you're always right beside a cosmic signature, which that is the exit. I don't need to scan that down. That was first mistake. But like I said, I always save the wormhole exit, but there has been a few times where I've completely forgot to do that, and this was one of those times. Okay, so I forgot to save the location. So I come in, and I was, obviously it's not part of this video, but I come in and I ended up scanning down a few things. There was no gas sites, but there was some ore sites, and I was like, you know what, I'll go do some of those. So I went and got my ore ship, come in, start doing the ore site, or start going towards the ore site, and someone showed up, and I was like, right, I'll warp away. Couldn't warp away. Why could I not warp away? Because I had no location to warp to. So I had a problem. I'm in a ship that doesn't have a mobile depot, that doesn't have a probe launcher, so I can't scan my way out here, which is obviously an issue because I'm sitting in a 300 million ISK ship with, at that stage it was probably about another 200 million sitting in implants. So I had an issue, right? And that's whenever I started kicking myself. How did I not save the location? How did I not save the location? Because it is now, definitely now, and it should be for you, the first thing that you do. As soon as you get into a wormhole, right click that wormhole, save location. Instantly. I have it set so that it deletes after 3 hours because I'm never going to be in the same wormhole for that amount of time. So that is definitely something that, tip number 1, as soon as you get into a wormhole, save the location instantly. Make sure, get it into your head, like burn it into your brain that is the first thing that you do, is you save the location of that wormhole exit. Trust me, it saves so much heartache, it saves so much worry, it saves so much, oh shit, what's going to happen here? And also, it saves a lot of risk. Because if you're constantly doing that and you're constantly losing ships, yeah, it's not going to go well, right? Your wallet is going to take a massive amount of hits, and it's not something that you want to be doing, to be honest. So, save the exit. Okay. This video did not end well, I will tell you that. I was jumping about looking for something, looking for anything to help me get out of this situation that I found myself in. And what I came across was this wee container, and the container just says, if you're stuck in this wormhole, contact Eve Scout. I think it was Eve Scout or Eve, yeah, something. I can't remember, it'll be on the screen some stage. So I started talking to this guy, and he was asking for information. Can you dock up? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you cloak? Anything? And the answer to pretty much all of it was no. The only thing that I could do was warp from place to place to place. Right? Then I run into another issue. And here is where the tip really comes in. And this is one thing that I learned, and I learned it the hard way, but I'm glad I learned it. Once you get into a wormhole and you're scanning, if you see structures, right click and show info on those structures. Are they owned by someone? If they are owned by someone, 99.999% of the time, people live in this wormhole. Okay? And if people live in this wormhole, you're going to have a problem. Especially if you cannot get out. Okay, so like, say for talk's sake, you go into an OSAC system, right? I went into an OSAC system because I was, passing through. You pop up in local, alright? Guy instantly messaged me. Started a conversation. Conversation request come up on the screen. I accepted it. I was like, what's up? He's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, just passing through. And he's like, right, okay, I'll be watching. Okay, I am just passing through though. So I would pass through, and that was it. If you're in a wormhole, you don't get that luxury. You do not get that luxury. If you're in a wormhole, you are pretty much screwed. Okay, if someone sees you or someone finds you, you are screwed. To put it nicely, you are fucked, right? And that is the nicest way I could put it, because it is, there's no asking questions, there's no, what are you doing here, or I think it's time you leave. It's, we find you, we will kill you. I'm in a hulk. I can't exactly defend myself. And then a ship finds me, and then another. 2 ships find me, and that is 2 Lokis, which isn't great. Like I think we're gonna all agree, being jumped by 2 Lokis in a wormhole that you're trapped in, it's not going to end well. There was no way of me getting out, so the only thing that I could basically do was warp away before they got their scramblers on me. And I managed to. So I managed to keep jumping from place to place. But obviously they were very good at descan, and they kept finding me. And we'll cut to the end of the video where you see me, and I got jumped by the 2 Lokis and the Tengu for good measure. I take into consideration that while all of this is going on, I still in talks with this guy who is trying to find me. I just got this stage where I just had to send him a message and says, listen, don't worry about it. 2 Lokis and a Tengu found me. And I was like, but thanks for the help anyway. You know, thanks for trying. This, that, and the other. Alright. So that was the 2 main pieces of advice from that one experience. Save your wormhole location. Check to see if anyone's living in it. Right? They're 2 vital pieces of information, because do you know what? If you're going solo and you're in a ship that can't defend itself or can't align and warp away really fast, maybe you should just give that wormhole a miss. That is my 2 cents on that. Is if you can't warp away really fast or you can't defend yourself and someone owns that, well, I don't want to say owns that wormhole, but if someone's living in that wormhole, I would give it a miss. And to be honest, like, you know, you can do it a few different ways, because what you can do is you can find a structure. If you find a structure and that structure is owned by a corporation, check that corporation, see how many members are in it, see if it's 1 or 2. Do you know what? More than likely it is just a really well off, really smart, capable solo person with an alt. If you check it and it's 10, 15, I would give it a miss. Personally, I would give it a miss. I'm not saying that you should. That's what I believe. That's what I've taken away from that video. Second video, we'll go into it. Okay. This was what I considered to be the perfect wormhole. Now I don't have the video up in front of me, and I'm going off of memory here, so do forgive me. For me, this was the perfect wormhole. It had 3 gas sites, and it also had a massive ice belt. So I come in, and you know, 2 pieces of information from that I take away from this, okay, is up until this point I used to go in, scan down an ice site, find an ice site, and then just go, right, okay, find the ice site, got the ice, or find a gas site, sorry, scan down 1 gas site, warp away, and you know, go get my gas ship, come back in and do that, and that's it. So, piece of advice from the second video: scan down every location. Because if I hadn't have scanned down every location, I would have thought, right, there's 1 gas site here and that's it. Whereas there was 3 gas sites and a massive ice belt. Massive. Now again, you know, I was in the buzzard. I can do it comfortably because I'm cloaked up. You know, and my align time in the buzzard is stupidly fast. Trying to catch the buzzard as well. You know, if someone was to drop in on me, if I wasn't cloaked, you know, if I put on my micro warp drive, I'm well over 2,000 meters a second. You know, so I could burst away from you. And once I'm out of scrambler range, what I could do is then just warp away. It's very hard to catch me. That's what I'm saying. So scan down every single site. Make sure you've scanned down a full wormhole so that you know that you're working with, because then that way you can go, right, I have 3 gas sites here. I also have an ice. I also have an ice belt. Right, what I want to do, what am I feeling this day? Because the thing is, like, if you're sitting there and you're like, I feel like I want to do some gas, it's quick, it's good amount of ISK, the ship can warp away really fast, right? Okay, now I have 3 choices. So what you could do is, you know, now that I've got 3 choices, I could warp into one, starts a 20-minute timer. Once the rats appear, warp to the next one, start the 20-minute timer if you're lucky. Once the rats appear in that one, warp to the next one, 20 minutes, rats appear if you're lucky again, and then go back to station, get your gunship, come back in, clear the 3 rat sites at the gas sites, come back with your thing, your gas ship, and you can keep doing that. Right, so that would be my thought process on it. Okay, that's my thought process to that. Scan down every site so that you know exactly what you're working with, but also so that it gives you extra points that you can warp away to, because you could scan down, you know, 3 wormholes, right? And say if you're scanning down a gas site and you're looking for a gas site, and your gas site is the first one that you got down, the last thing that you want to do is warp away to a random location if you forgot to save the exit, or, you know, if you're in a rush because you get jumped by an Astero and a Tengu, which has happened. What you can do is then if you warp away to a random location, you might warp into a rat site, which the rats are going to be insanely powerful. That's not going to end well. Scan down everything. You can warp away to a wormhole, and then once you are able to take a second, you can warp back to the exit that you need. Okay, so that is the main one. Well, that is actually one of two main points to take away from this one. So for me, this was the perfect wormhole. Gas sites, ice belts, you know, it had everything. But then there was a problem. I did not check the timer for the wormhole. And that was the issue, because I was like, this is a perfect wormhole. I've got 3 gas sites and an ice belt. What do I want to do here? And then my thinking was, right, what I will do is what I just said. I'll go do 1 gas site. Once the rats spawn, I'll jump over to the other, and then the other, go back, gunship in, kill the rats, go back, gas sites, do gas sites again. That was my thought process. I was like, this is going to be amazing. And I was sitting there and I was like, if I do this right and I get left alone, tonight alone I'm pulling in 350 million. Easily. And then I started getting excited. I started getting giddy. I was like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. I started getting really excited about it. And I didn't check the timer of the wormhole. And by the time I had scanned down all these sites, my exit was gone. I'd saved the exit. I warped to the exit. Wormhole wasn't there. It had closed. And then I had to go and find a chain of wormholes. And once I found the chain of wormholes, it led me to a point where it was 23 jumps away from my home system, which wasn't too bad, especially in a ship that aligns really fast. That it was done in 5-10 minutes. But that wormhole for me was gone, because I was not going to, you know, get into a gas ship and go and do the 23 jumps to get back into that wormhole, because it was a chain of wormholes. I think I was in 4 wormholes just to get to that one site where I could take the 23 jumps back home. So always check the timer. You know, right click, show info. If it says it's beginning to decay, you've got a certain amount of time left. You know, or if it's end of life and you've got less than an hour left. If it is end of life, what I would do is I would just leave it. You know, get in, see that it's end of life, back out. Less than an hour, another wormhole will spawn, because if that was a static wormhole, once that entrance closes up, another one will open somewhere. So just give it a bye-ball and move on. Not unless you are in looking for wormhole chains, then by all means don't give a shit about the end of life timer and just go about your business. So that is, you know, this was the first episode of Exploring with Expedition, and these 2 videos taught me a lot about what I needed to know about wormholes. That is the main thing. Save your location, or save your exit, or at least scan it down, but preferably save your exit, because if you've got multiple wormholes and you forget what the wormhole name is, you'll end up going to the wrong one. Save your exit, check to see if anyone lives there. And then if someone does live there, check the size of their corporation, make sure they're not a solo person. If they're not a solo person, to be honest, I would just leave it. It's asking for trouble. If you're going in as solo, if you're going in as a fleet, then by all means, fuck it. In for a penny, in for a pound. Scan everything down, and also check how long's left of the wormhole. That is the 4 pieces of information that I'm taking away from this video, and I really hope, you know, if someone's looking to get into wormholes and you're watching this video, I really do hope that you really take heed of this advice. Check those 4 things. Trust me, it will save you a lot of time, and it will save you a lot of ISK. But that is going to do it for me with the first episode of Exploring with Expedition. Until next time, thanks for watching.